Welcome, everybody. I know it's a little late. I'm glad you're tuning in with me. We're going to talk about this Daejhanae arrests and the Shanquella Robinson case a little bit. Um, Here's the issues that I have. I'm not going to, I'm not introducing any new information. Uh, as far as quote unquote facts about this case. That's not what this live stream is gonna be about. With the exception of no exceptions. I have no new confirmed information. It's a lot of speculation, opinion, and conjecture going around the internet. YouTube, Twitter, etc., etc., etc. And I'm noticing that it's a lot of conflicting information supposedly coming from one source. Not sure. So we're going to talk. That's the kind of stuff I'm going to talk about tonight. With great power comes great responsibility. And we've been given great power with these platforms that we are fortunate enough to have access to. Unfortunately, this power has been given to a lot of reckless people. I hope y'all following me. On your way in, let me back this up a minute. On your way in, I thank you for coming. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, smash that bell. You are now tuned in to the People's Podcast. I am the People's Champ. I am V. Ben Israel, the People's Champ. And often, that's what I started to say. I'm not sure what people expect. I remember a commercial that came out. You can't believe everything you hear on the internet. And that's true today as it was, however many years ago that commercial was made. Can't believe everything. Um, if you're new to my channel, you understand I speak very frankly, boldly. I try not to offer opinion without citation, conjecture, if you will. Um, if I'm not your cup of tea, leave. There's plenty. Move around. There's plenty of places to be out here in these YouTube streets. To my regular viewers, I know I've been a little MIA. I've been posting little clips here and there, but I'm still around. I just thought this a topic I wanted to speak on, and that's kind of one of the reasons why it's unscheduled and it's a little late. Uh, it's almost 2 a.m. here in the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am located on the East Coast. For those of you who may not be familiar or tuning in internationally, I am on the East Coast of the United States in North Carolina. Charlotte, holla at your boy. And I am the people's champ because I speak for the people. I say the things that you're thinking and you can't necessarily say yourselves for whatever reason. I'm petty though, so we're gonna talk about it. So, supposedly, let's get into this, y'all. Let's get into this. Let's not waste no more time. We ain't not gonna do like some content creators, an hour of music and shout outs and you know reading comments and all of that. We're gonna get right into this content because it's getting late. It's getting late. Daejhanae Jackson. I'm assuming y'all are familiar with the Shanquella, excuse me, yeah, with the Shanquella Robinson murder down in Cabo, Mexico. Happened last month. We're talking about that. So for whatever for based on the information that's been leaked, um Daejhanae Jackson and I, or Daejhanae, however, I apologize if I have not pronounced her name correctly. I also apologize if I did not spell it correctly. Daejhanae Jackson is what I believe, and I believe I saw it spelled the way I spelled it a few different places. So I'm pulling from those sources. I have no official source that I'm pulling from. So right now I'm giving y'all commentary. Hope this makes sense. Daejhanae is the person in question, and supposedly she was arrested last night or Monday night. Well, no, Tuesday night. Like, well, no, Monday night now because we're going into Wednesday morning now. So this would have been Monday night. Supposedly she was arrested. I have not seen that confirmed or corroborated with an American source that hasn't gotten their information from Mexico, particularly our the reporter Geraldo Zunanga, however you pronounce his name. Geraldo. It's not Geraldo, all y'all ignorant people. It's Geraldo. So he's the one that's been feeding information to various YouTubers. Problem with that is he only speaks Spanish. And I think some things are getting lost in translation, which may explain the conflicting information. So, first, we're talking about her arrest. Supposedly, she was arrested. Again, I have not seen where anybody verified that with the FBI. I find that interesting that some guy down in Mexico is aware that she got arrested and no one else can corroborate that on the American side, independent of him. But we're going to assume it's true that she was arrested, detained, maybe a better word. Okay, we're going to go with that. I'm interested in knowing where she was located during this arrest. Was she in Charlotte? Was she in another city, town, or state? I would like to know that information. I'm pretty sure if she was arrested here in the United States, it was the FBI who would have been involved in that arrest and not Interpol, as some people have reported. I've maybe I'm ignorant. I've never heard of a Interpol operating on United States soil separate from the FBI. So that's one thing. Details matter, context matters. So let's assume she was arrested. Then you got content creators out here that are posting she's headed to Mexico. She's been arrested. She's headed to Mexico. Well, that's not how extradition is supposed to work here in the United States. We have laws and we have a process. And that process is you're detained. The requesting country, which in this case would be Mexico, they have to contact our government and make a formal request, which I believe they have done. Then our people go find, which is the FBI, go find that person using whatever means that the FBI uses. And once they find that person is detained. Then there has to be an extradition hearing. There has to be a hearing before we actually initiate the extradition process. We go further with actually sending her to Mexico in this case. I think the problem is, and shout out to the lead attorney, shout out to Michonne. I believe she had an attorney on her show. Um, the problem is the attorneys, and I love the lead attorney, by the way, but he is not a criminal attorney. He is a lawyer. He specialized in divorces. So his area of expertise is not expedition or extradition. So I would be more interested in hearing a criminal attorney who has some insight into this extradition process give us some understanding to what's happening. But you can simply Google United States extradition process and it'll pull up our laws on that process. She has to have a hearing. So right now, she's being detained. They're going to have to find her a lawyer. She's got to consult with her lawyer before she goes to this hearing. And then they have to go through that whole process. I'm not 100, again, I'm not attorney. I am not clear on that process. And so far, what I've heard a lot of YouTubers speak on it, they aren't either. Everybody's kind of skipping over this extradition process and going right to the girl's guilty, she's going to Mexico. They're going to try her there. Well, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. Um, Again, we've been given a great responsibility, and we need to make sure we're all information isn't facts. There is bad information that comes out, and too often, especially in our community, we just repeat things over and over and over as if it is fact, and the people doing the talking don't know what they're talking about, but they present themselves as credible or insightful or even knowledgeable about things they are not. So I'm trying not to do that here. As I made it short not too long ago, a lot of times I wish we would just say no comment. No comment. We don't always have to have a comment for everything. I think too often we talk too much. In this case, I believe that the parents of Shanquella are talking too much, which makes me question whether they hired a family attorney. And does that family attorney have any influence over the family where he can say, hey, y'all need to stop talking. You hired me to do the talking for you. Allow me to do my job. They running around all over Charlotte, all over the internet, talking to any and everybody. And they don't have any factual information. They getting the same information everybody else is getting. Just because it's your child, and I am a father of four, just because it's your child don't mean everything you say is factual. So this young lady, Daejhanae Jackson, has to go to an extradition hearing, from my understanding and my reading of the law. That means it's not a slam dunk that she's going to Mexico yet, from my understanding. I don't know how strong the evidence has to be in this hearing, or if it just is circumstantial information. I don't know. That's why I would be very interested in having a criminal attorney come up somewhere online and uh, giving us his insight or her insight into the actual extradition hearing that should be the next phase where we're going. I would be very surprised if the FBI would just give this girl up, not question her, not chase down that rabbit hole a little bit. I'd be very surprised. I think they're going to try to get as much information out of her as possible first before that hearing even takes place. That's my thoughts. Now, I'm also interested in why they singled out Daejhanae, I keep saying Daejhanae. Um, Not gonna call her Deion Sanders, like shout out to lead attorney. Not gonna do that. Daejhanae listen to me. Look at my picture. Daejhanae. You don't pronounce her name 5011 ways from sundown, man. Shout out to the lead. I love the lead attorney. Um, I just wish our people, and not talking about the lead, but some of you other content creators, you guys are so unrefined, is the word I'm going to use. You present yourselves very unrefined and crisp. And this is an international case. Can we present ourselves better? Or at least we're doing a better job of pronouncing a pronunciation, better job of not throwing out conjecture and raw opinion. Can we do a better job at this? I ask y'all. If you don't know, say you don't know. We can still report on this story and keep it alive without pushing out BS. So here's what I mean. When the case first broke, the first thing that was said is the girl had alcohol poisoning. Shanquella had alcohol poisoning. And my first thought, I remember telling my sister, shout out to Aminaz. I remember telling Aminaz, that don't sound right to me. What 25-year-old kid understands what the hell alcohol poisoning is? That's company jargon. That's medical jargon. So I said they heard a medical professional say that. That's what they heard because see, at first we didn't know the doctor and the police, the nurse, or who we didn't know none of them people was there. We thought the kids just left that girl there and bounced. That was the first story that came out. I said they got that terminology from somebody, is what I said. Sure enough, I was right. So then more information started coming out. And now we got the police was there, the Red Cross was there, a nurse or slash doctor was there, right? This is what I mean by credible information. We're getting a lot of information. Also, we're dealing with another country, and it's a non first world country. Okay? We're not talking about England. We're not talking about France. We're not talking about first world country. We're talking Mexico is a second or third world country, right? We don't know what the qualifications are to be a nurse, a doctor, a police officer there. We don't know. We can't assume that the standard that we have in America applies to Mexico. So, from my understanding, the police, quote unquote, that showed up first aren't what we would call police. They more are like security guards for the villa. Those are the quote unquote what they mean by police. This is my opinion. I have no proof of this. This is my speculation. Trying to simplify all of these stories that we've heard come out. And it would make more sense. Because later on, a second group of police showed up who I guess was connected to the magistrate or the the the, the what we would consider the district attorney, whatever that equivalent of people are there. We would basically call them the district attorney. They have their own investigative official police. Those guys showed up later, right? So who were the first police that showed up? And that would explain why they didn't do certain things. Okay. Why it took hours for the other police to show up. Why they didn't take this girl to the hospital immediately, as we would expect here in America. So let's think about it this way. If this situation happened down in, let's say, Myrtle Beach, right? And the police show up there, and Shanquella was in a condition that we all believe she was in when the police arrived. They would have immediately called 911. She would have been transported to the to the hospital, the nearest hospital. Meanwhile, the police would have begun investigating, and they would have called in detectives, and probably forensics would have showed up. That's what happens here in America. We cannot make the assumption that that's what happens in Mexico, right? So I believe these top flight security guards showed up along with the Red Cross people, who would be the equivalent, I guess, of EMTs here, right? I don't know if that was a real doctor or it was a nurse. I don't know. They're calling him a doctor. Do they call like We have different levels of nurses here, right? RNs, CNAs, LPNs. We don't know if Mexico follows that same format. So, was this just a regular RN? Was this a CNA? Was this more like a nurse practitioner, and they were calling this person doctor, just in a respectful manner, but she's not really a doctor? I would like the answer to those questions. Okay. Now, the other thing that's wrong here is the timelines are off. I've heard about three or four different timelines. Supposedly, and shout out to the lead attorney, TLA did a interview with Geraldo, and during that interview, he pointed out that there was a discrepancy between the coroner's report and the police report as far as time of death. Again, was it a police report or was it just a report by the security guards? Now, if they were security guards, then that would explain the discrepancy. Or it would we not explain it, but it would give some insight into it. Right? So supposedly the coroner's report said she died around 3:15, right? Then the police report had her dying much later, like hours later. We also had, I think it was the friend Khalil or one of the friends who came late, whoever the guy was that came late, he stated when he got there around 3:30, she was still alive, right? So if the police report is correct, that explains his side of the story. Because everybody thought, oh, he's lying. Because if he got there at 3:30, she would have already been dead. How did he rub her head and play music, right? So these questions, because the timeline is is cuckoo. Now I'm hearing another timeline today, where somebody's saying they talked to Geraldo, and he's saying she died somewhere between 7 a.m. and 12 p.m. Whoa, that's a big discrepancy. Then how do you explain that the nurse was trying to give a dead woman an IV and they gave her CPR? They reported that she was still breathing and she had a seizure if she was already dead. How do we explain these? Well, here's another problem I'm pointing out is that we can't assume their medical examiner or coroner operate the way they do here in the United States. We don't know. TLA explained to us how their judicial system works, where judges don't even show up for cases, right? So if the judicial system operates that way, why would we expect their police or their medical people to operate any differently? Was it really the coroner who examined her body? Or was it the coroner's assistant? If judges ain't showing up for cases, why are the coroners showing up? I'm just asking. As a parent, if I had, if this was my 21-year-old daughter, my daughter's 21, my oldest daughter, If we brought her body back from Mexico, the first thing I would have insisted on is that a medical examiner here in Charlotte would have performed an autopsy or an investigation, at least into, in other words, go behind what verify what the Mexican authorities themselves said, because it's too much foolishness right now. That's what I would have, as a father, would have had to happen. I would have not let them bury my daughter until an American medical examiner looked at her body. That would have had to happen. That's me. That's me. This is why it's important to get a lawyer up people, because they think about things that the average person doesn't think about. So as a father, I'm not trusting the Mexican medical examiner. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm not. Because that means everything. That time of death means everything. That's my 2 cents. So there's a theory out there that these kids, there's a conspiracy that they got together to cover this up. Now they're saying that the Red Cross people are in on it, the nurse slash doctor, and the security guard slash police are all in on this conspiracy because the people from Mexico were trying to protect the villa's reputation because of tourism and their interest, their financial interests. That may be true. I'd like to see some actual proof of that. Okay. And again, we would have had that if a medical examiner here in the United States had examined her. Or we'd have more information. So I find that interesting. If you're on Facebook, I can't see if anybody's watching me on Facebook like I can YouTube. Hey, throw a one in the comment, man. Let me know, man. Let me know you're on Facebook and you're following along. I know it's late. I know there's a lot of people not up. But drop me a comment on Facebook. It's almost 2:30. Um Here's why I'm gonna be a little bit different from other people. And I think we're a little too quick in our in America and definitely in the black community to turn volunteers into victims and then into martyrs. I'm from experience. I'm not quick to do that. We always want to make volunteers into victims and then into martyrs. Right? Too many cases. I'm not going to jump into who I'm talking about. But just think about any of these popular cases that have gone out. They do this all the time where they make people into martyrs who weren't martyrs. I'm not saying this girl deserved to die by any means, so please don't try to twist my words. But I know my child. Talk about my child for a minute. My daughter got a lot of mouth. She ain't but a buck 20, buck 25 at the most. Okay. She about 5'6", 120. Very similar, right? To Shanquella. My daughter got a lot of mouth and she liked to fight. Um, Here's the problem with that. And I tell my daughter all the time, somebody gonna fuck you up. Okay? Shout out to a match. Somebody gonna fuck you up with your mouth, little girl. Gonna run across the wrong one, I tell her. But I tell her that because I love her. And I want her to be mindful you ain't as bad as you think you are. And that's a father's job to protect your children. See, we talk about protection. Protection is an umbrella, not a shield. Okay? And sometimes people under your protection step away from that umbrella for times. But while they're under your umbrella, you got to prepare them to go out into the world. And I think a lot of fathers and parents fail their kids there. You know your daughter got mouth. You know your daughter thinks she a badass. I know mine do. I know she do. And you got to be mindful of the people your daughter, your children hang around, right? The moves that they're making. I remember my grandparents would say things to us, hey, you know, remember your last name. Remember who you represent when you out there in them streets. Be mindful that you're not just representing yourself. You're representing this family. So be under your best behavior. Okay. Especially if you know you got a badass. I know I got a badass. My daughter crazy. My daddy crazy. So she got a little crazy too. Okay. I get it. So because I understand her nature, it's in the blood. I get it. I have to prepare my children extra because my children about them hands. My children about them hands. I it's well documented. So I have to give them some extra information sometimes. You a buck 25, imagine. You can't be jumping up in no girl face who is 225. You're not gonna win. I don't care if you the best street fighter on the planet. 125-pound people ain't going around beating up people that's 225 pounds or more. It's unlikely. This is why in boxing and MMA and contact sports, where they fight, you have different weight classes for a reason. I don't know how big Daejhanae, keep saying it wrong. Shout out to Lead Attorney. I don't know how large of a woman Daejhanae is, but she's clearly large. She was clearly larger than Shanquella. We know black women are, on average, overweight. The average black woman in this country is 187 pounds. It's not uncommon to see a black woman that's 225, 250. It's not uncommon. Okay. Again, a little 125-pound girl ain't doing too much damage to a girl that's 225, 250. It's unlikely. Right? Shout out to All Viral Access. My man also did gave out some good information, and a young lady who was on that he interviewed, the first young lady who came up on his show, kind of said what I'm saying. I wish people would stop talking about things they don't know. I'm paraphrasing. She said the same sentiment. And I was thinking it at the time. I had already planned to go live when I heard her say that. We don't know. It's too much that we don't know. And people are speculating in theories and conspiracies and report the facts. And there's very little facts out. But everybody on YouTube and in Twitter wants to be the first to talk about some shit. You know what I'm saying? Hello, who just Lawrence? Hello, Lawrence. How you doing, my brother? Who I got? My brother, the Angry Snowman, is in the house. Let me know if you want to come up. I'll try to make it happen. I'm kind of mobile right now, but hang out in the chat. You know you're always welcome. Lawrence, I've never seen you before. I appreciate you, man. I hope you subscribe. Definitely appreciate you. Anyway, um, and I am here, y'all. I'm not really like dressed. I just got a hoodie on. That's why I got my camera off. But I am here. I'm here. You know, it's me. You know, I'm kind of on location right now. I'm not even home, but I just kind of set this up. But I am here. It's your boy. Um, Luckily, I figured out how to get my microphone working on my main phone because I usually I use my backup phone, but it's something with my Chrome browser. I know Death Note was trying to help me fix it at one point. It's some kind of weird site error, and um, me and Death Note could talk about that. I've unallowed. Maybe Snowman can help me with that too. He's very savvy. Where I'm getting some kind of weird. I've unblocked it, blocked it. It won't allow me to access my microphone from Chrome, but obviously it's working fine here on Firefox. Who knew? So it's a Chrome issue. Anyway, we talk too much, black people. And right now I'm talking to the black folk. I'm gonna say Americans. We do this as Americans. But I notice a lot of y'all was saying this. Had it been a white girl, had it been a Becky, it would be different. The news would be reporting on this. I disagree. And I get tired of y'all trying to make everything a black or white issue. And y'all want to call it racism. It's not racist, first of all. That would be prejudice or bigotry. But it's not that. Sometimes we got to take responsibility and admit we don't handle our fucking business the correct way. Plain and simple. Had this been a white kid, mama, that white kid's mama, Brad and Jane, would not be on the internet interviewing with everybody. They would have hired a family attorney and they would have been saying no comment and they would have been directing everybody to their damn attorney. That's how white folks handle stuff. Am I wrong? Snowman here, he white. Tell me I'm wrong, Snowman. Even Trailer Park Trash would do that. You ain't never seen nobody, no white parents in this kind of situation all on YouTube interviewing any and everybody. And where the hell they get that from? Where that come from? We got to stop doing that. People don't take us seriously as a people because we don't take ourselves seriously. Let the professionals do their job. Shout out to Kyrie Irving. He gave him all that money. Put it to you. Shout out to Kimba. Kimba also gave them some money, right? I'm giving the trailer park too much trash. I mean too much confidence. I I'm just telling you, my brother, what I've never seen. I ain't never seen it. um we could go all the way back to the beginning. We can go back to OJ Simpson, okay? Nicole Simpson's family was from the trailer park. They wasn't all on TV. They got them some lawyers and they let them lawyers handle that money and got that money. Okay. And every time since then, that's how that's how the white folks handle it. And I'm gonna be wrapping this up soon because my battery's gonna die again. I am mobile. I ain't got no charger. I'm doing this on the humble, but I wanted to get this out. And hopefully, I'm making sense. And there are other people who are thinking like I am thinking. Slow down. You don't have to be the first person to say something. Verify your sources, because in journalism, if you've ever took a journalism class, and those of you who are experienced journalists, know you have to verify your sources. Hold on, I'm reading this. Oh, I mean that'll happen in the hood too, bruh. I'm with that. Where I'm from, certain things is when the police get you, you might be dead already. You know, we ain't gonna let certain things happen. And I know that to be true of the trailer park and in the hood. I mean the real hood. I mean they call everything the hood now, but the real hood, nah. Certain Trayvon Martin would not have happened in the real hood. It would have never happened. It wouldn't happen in the trailer park either. There's no way anybody in a trailer park would have heard a kid screaming the way Trayvon Martin was screaming and didn't go outside to see what was going on. I know that for a fact. I bet money on that. And it wouldn't have happened in the real hood. It wouldn't have happened on the south side of Chicago where I've lived. It wouldn't have happened in Newark, New Jersey, in East Orange, in Irvington, in Orange, where I'm from. Wouldn't have happened in the real hoods. It wouldn't have happened in Charleston, South Carolina. It wouldn't have happened in Hidden Valley, Charlotte, North Carolina, west side of Charlotte. No hood would have allowed somebody's child to be screaming for help and nobody goes out there. That's another conversation. Years ago, I was interviewed by the Associated Press during the Trayvon Martin case, and I said that same thing. Y'all get a little money and always want to run to the damn suburbs. Another conversation. That wouldn't have happened in the country. I'm going to stick up for my country, folks. Where your neighbors is further away. But you hear somebody screaming for help, you're going to go investigate. Shout out to Ruby, South Carolina. Somebody going to hear it. That boy was screaming for his life. Yeah. It's too much information and speculation and conjecture. We need to let facts come out. But there's an extradition process that we have here in the United States, and that has to take place. So, in other words, she has a hearing, and I wish that hearing was televised. So, more information is going to come out. Here's a conspiracy theory of mine I'm going to throw out there, and I've been right so far. From my experience with people, when you got a bunch of shady people who all hang out together, they're all shady. They all got dirt on them. That's why they hang out. That's what this looks like to me. So what does that tell me? This girl, Shanquella, wasn't this little angel businesswoman they try to make her be. She was clothes and braiding hair like every other hood rat black chick in the hood. So her businesswoman. So you show me some business records, some P&L statements. I ain't giving her that title. I ain't doing it. I'm thinking, based on the rumors that I've heard, it was something with Shanquella's people, or not Shanquella's people. She did something to Daejhanae's people, and this is supposed to be payback for that. I don't know how true that is. That's a conspiracy. But if that's the case, I bet you it's tied to that PPE money. Hmm. Because this hair braider in the middle of a recession all of a sudden got money to pay for her whole crew to go on vacation. Get real. And she was braiding hair on the west side of Charlotte in somebody's shop. Do y'all know what the west side of Charlotte look like? They ain't get money like that on the west side. I'm sorry. I know the west side. I used to live a block over there on Dr. Carver Anybody know West Side? I lived on Dr. Carver for years. I know Amy James. I know Remount. My daughter Brooklyn went to karate over there on Remount. I know the West Side. She wasn't making all of this money like y'all making it seem like she had a shop and she was so successful. I'm calling bunk on that. Y'all ain't gonna tell me no bullshit. So that don't mean she deserved to die. But we don't know the whole story. I don't believe they wanted to kill that girl. I think there was some beef there, and they planned on whooping her ass. Like, oh, if she say one more thing, I'm gonna whoop her ass. Y'all know how black women get down. Okay? I know my kids get down like that. That don't mean now I'm gonna flip it. That don't mean because your kid gets in a fight and the person's an unfortunate accident happens, they deserve to go to jail in Mexico for the rest of their life. So let's think about Miss Daejhanae's parents. They're parents too, and they could lose their child just because she got into a fight. We don't know everything, y'all, is what I'm saying. We don't know. Stop making volunteers into victims and then turning them into martyrs. We got to stop doing that. I'm about to die, so I'm about to jump off of here so I can charge up. That's my thoughts on it. Maybe I'll do some more on this topic. I've been watching it, but I haven't talked about it. Shout out to Angry Man. Angry Man did a good, he covered this pretty good. Not the Snowman, talking about Angry Man. The real Angry Man, not the Angry Snowman. Got to make sure they don't like being called each other. So I call Snowman Snowman. So to distinguish between the two. But we need more information, y'all. We need real, credible information. Can somebody verify that the FBI did pick this girl up and has her in custody? That I want to know. I haven't seen it yet. Stay tuned. I'll do more on this topic because I got more to talk about. I got some more theories, but so far I ain't been wrong. And I want y'all to stop making these parents into martyrs too. Matter of fact, I will do a part 2. We're going to talk about these parents tomorrow or later today. I'm going to come on here later tomorrow. We're going to talk about these parents. Because as a parent, I think I have the right to speak on other people's parents. So I'm going to talk about Shanquella's parents, and I'm going to talk about these other kids' parents. Because everybody's forgetting about them too. That's all I got. So we're going to go ahead and jump off of here. As always, I appreciate y'all coming through. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, people.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right. Yet to fail, nonetheless. It's frightening. Turns the legs to jelly. I ask you, to what end? Dread it? Run from it? Destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say,